Catapulting Commissions family, what's up, team? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Catapulting Commissions podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Garcia. Today's guest is near and dear to my heart. I was first introduced to Jennifer Wright nearly 10 years ago, and my journey of getting healthy at that time. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but here's the deal, Catapulting Commissions family. If you're a high performer in business, if you're a small business owner who is excelling, you're going to want to listen to today's episode because this is the first episode that we're going to break in how to maximize performance by not doing the stuff we always talk about, the sales. It's the stuff that takes place outside of your business, outside of your sales process. And you're going to learn a lot about that from my guest today. Jennifer Wright is the founder of Emersion Crossfit, a CrossFit gym here in Bakersfield, California, where you and I are both from. 10 years?
10 years officially, yes.
10 years?
12 unofficially.
Well, let's talk about that. So welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you.
All right. So you are the founder of Emersion CrossFit. It used to be known as CrossFit Crazy House many, many times ago. So let's just say 10 years officially, 12 years. Tell us about those early days starting a CrossFit gym. And fun fact, Catapulting Commissions family, she is the longest running gym in Bakersfield. And I would just say in Kern County.
Yeah, I mean that I know of. Yeah,
wherever. I mean, it's Bakersfield is the 9th largest city in California. Kern County is an incredibly large place. So there's not a small feat to be in business this long. Majority of business owners don't even survive the past their first 5 years. Yeah. So you go 10 years officially. There's 2 years unofficially. Tell us about your early days in starting the gym. What did that look like?
Oh boy. So I actually got my foot in the door at Globo Gym. We call Globo gyms. If you've ever watched Dodgeball, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, so I got my foot in the door as a personal trainer. It was on the heels of that 2008 market crash. I was in the real estate industry, and there, like we've talked about all the layers that kind of went into this. So it wasn't definitely wasn't linear. Let's just say that. But just to kind of fast forward, I was already a personal trainer, was looking to branch out into something that I felt was more organic. Didn't really understand why everything had to be so scripted in fitness, why it had to be, if you want hypertrophy, this is what you do. And so I wanted more than, I didn't want to just be put in a bubble as a person. And there was a lot going on at home. I had children, and one of my kids was playing sports. He had Osgood-Schlatter's, which is, if you're not familiar, a condition that happens when kids grow too fast and creates a lot of joint pain. So I wanted to help him. And as a personal trainer, I didn't know how to help him. And I felt really silly for not knowing how to help my own son. And I started looking up, lifting programs, prehab, rehab, that kind of stuff, and happened upon an article written by the co-founder of CrossFit at the time titled "What is Fitness?" And that article really spoke to me. And so I pursued CrossFit as a result. And at the time I had a small little boot camp going on in my backyard. Quickly and overnight converted that to CrossFit and freaked everybody out because I was all in. Like the minute I went and got my level 1 in CrossFit, I was sold, and freaked everybody out in my boot camp. Most of them stayed, thank God. And we started in my backyard, and we grew very, 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 very slowly. It wasn't like this kind of fast, upward, journey. It was definitely, up and down, back and forth, backpedaling at times. But fast forward to now, we're in our 3rd location over the years. We've been here for 8 years, maybe 9 now. And we're pretty settled where we are. And that's kind of how it all started. And definitely, like when I said organic, it was mostly like friends and family.
Yeah.
People that were willing to support me in all my mistakes.
Well, what's cool about that is majority of small businesses that excel in their business, it's that internal community, right? Your source of influence, your friends, your family, the people that know what you're doing. We talk about what you're doing that are going to support you. So your launch, your start, essentially the same thing. I'm intrigued on hearing, how did it go from backyard to first location? You've said a couple of times this wasn't linear. So there's a lot of turns, let's call them setbacks, maybe some adversity faced. So what is I guess let's talk about the early stages. What was the deciding factor to say, hey, I'm going to take this out from my backyard and make this a full-time business? Because let's just change the gym for what is taking place right now with small business owners all around the world. My side hustle to my main hustle.
Yeah.
What was it for you? How did that come to life?
I honestly, that conversation with myself didn't happen until 5-6 years into it.
Oh, wow.
If I'm going to be being honest.
Yeah, please.
It actually happened The way that we went from my backyard to a building was, I really got lucky. I really got blessed. I mean, there's a lot of it that, over the years, it has been a lot more than that. But in the early years, there was, I can't lie and say there wasn't some luck involved.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had in-laws that donated us a warehouse to help us get our footing in the beginning. Luckily, I had a mother who was able to help me with just a little bit of money to get a few things early on. And then I was lucky enough to attract the right people that wanted to see what I was building continue to grow. And those were our members at the time. They contributed. We held fundraisers. They did a lot of stuff to help us get our footing. And I'm definitely grateful for those early years, because without those people in the right people in the right places and the right support system, we wouldn't have what we have now.
It's exciting to know that you had people and adapt, and you sound incredibly grateful, which I think is one of the traits I love about you. Like we all need a hand. So like whatever that hand is, the support system we have, whether it's financial, motivational, just encouragement, whatever it is, we all need that 1,000%.
1,000%.
So you're not an anomaly for saying that. It's just, hey, you're incredibly grateful for it now. You had early adopters. You had people who bought into your vision and said, I'm going to support this gym or this CrossFit box or this venture, whatever you want to call it, people who support you. Here's the kicker for me, Jen. Majority of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Like 80% fail in the first 5 years. Of those 80% that fail, it's like 89 or 90% cite a lack of revenue for failing. The venture or path to open a small business, it's easier than it's ever been before. To keep it open for 5 years is harder than it's ever been before. Yep. You're going on almost a decade. Yeah. You've outlasted every competitive CrossFit gym in your community. Yeah. What's your secret to success there?
Humility.
All right, let's talk about it.
Humility. About, 6 years in, I noticed all the gyms that I had modeled my gym after were starting to fail, two specifically. And so I was like, crap, like we're next, because I had the same business model they had. I didn't have a model. The model was your model. And so I then reached out for help. I started going to I was already going to a bunch of seminars and courses, trying to learn as much as I could, wanting to be as knowledgeable as I could. And I went to one and I literally showed up by accident a day early and in tears. I literally walked in, saw that nobody was there, and I broke down crying. And the gym was almost empty. The owner was there and he saw my emotional state and pulled me into his office and was like, hey, what's up? Like, you're a day early. You seem absolutely devastated. What's going on? And I was like, my gym's going to close. And this is my last ditch effort to try to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And he's like, have you heard of this mentorship program? And I was like, no. And he was like, well, I highly recommend you listen to their podcast, go to their website, read their articles. They have a ton of like free stuff on there to help you. He was like, they saved me. He said, I completely have 100% faith in these guys, and I think they can help you too. And I did. I listened to a couple podcasts, reached out or listened to or went to the website. And then I finally reached out to the owner, and he talked to me about mentorship, which I could not afford. I had X amount of dollars in my account and he wanted X plus. And I was like, I will give you everything I have and the talk that he had with me was, how much longer does your business have? And I said, we're lucky to have 6 weeks. And he said, well, you have to raise your rates. And I said, I can't raise my rates. I can't do that to these people. I love them. They're friends and their family. And he said, look, if you want your friends and family to continue to have a place to go, then you need to give them the option, and you raise your rates. And if they don't want to support that, then that's fine. You're going to close anyway. You have nothing to lose. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's see. And so that was really the first step that I took. And he also helped us run a couple challenges that brought in revenue. But yeah, that was the approach that I took. And that really was the turning point for our gym, and what allowed me to be able to see a future for the gym.
Thank you for sharing that story. I think there's so much to unpack in that story. First things first, humility love it. I think we need more of it just as society as a whole. Social media makes us feel like, oh, you're
instant success.
Yeah. You're Instagram famous, but financially poor. Like I'm not, I love it's a love-hate relationship, social media. I've talked about it before, Catapulting Missions Family. But you mentioned humility in the terms of saying, I need help. Now, 6 weeks ago, if I was in your corner and I was like your consultant or your coach, I'd be like, hey, we probably should have got help a little earlier. But the takeaway here is you said, hey, I need help. And I'm going to go get help. There is nothing like Catapulting Missions Family. I want you to hear this right now. There's nothing wrong with saying I need a coach, a mentor, someone else who's paved it, right? We're shortening the learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in doing that, if you can go back to yourself at that point in time, and I literally, we just had a guest earlier today. Right? When someone gets emotional or nervous or cries, it means they care. So I picture you being there a day before because you care, because I know you genuinely care about the family you've developed there. So like that's encouraging. That's exciting. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it makes me excited that I work out in your gym, right? I don't know if you guys picked up on that, Catapulting Family. Jen is my CrossFit coach. So I work out at Emersion CrossFit. But what would you go back and tell yourself at that point in time? You, the business owner, right? Right. Let's take you went 6 weeks before. Let's go 6 months before that breaking point. Let's go a year before that breaking point. If you could do something differently or go back and talk to yourself, what would that conversation look like?
I would have gotten a mentor from the very beginning. I would have gotten help from the very beginning. I wouldn't have, but I say that and we're kind of, we're assuming that I planned on having a gym because it was really my side hustle that grew, you kind of mentioned that. But had I known that I was going to have a business, and knowing what I know now, and if that was my goal and my dream at the time, I would have gotten help right away. And we've talked about this before, that, no matter what you do, no matter what venture you head out on in life, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make wrong turns. If you have somebody that's already walked that walk and they can help you and show you and guide you and teach you about their mistakes early on, I would have done that from the very beginning. I wouldn't have made all those U-turns and, on my own.
Well, it's, the coaching industry, I use the phrase, when I tell somebody a coach, I truly believe it in like high regard. I don't know if you realize when I text you every now and then, I use the phrase coach, because to me, coach is something that it's like a sign of respect for me. The equivalent to sir, ma'am, coach falls in that category. It could be from the background. It could be from being raised and being competitive in athletics. But at the end of the day, a coach really changes your life. A coach will also change your business. Just point blank, a good coach. And I'm not going to break down what makes a good and bad coach or getting mentorship, but really having somebody in your corner helping you excel in that. Now, you also said that transition side hustle to full hustle. You mentioned about going into a state of humility and looking back and saying, okay, I need help. You said that your original advice was to raise your rates. There are service-based professionals who are listening to this right now that they themselves are struggling with that concept. Like, I can't raise my rates. And the advice you got was really good. I want to share a really quick story on the other side of this thing. I just had a conversation with a client of mine, and we had conversations about, hey, we have to ensure that we're not leveraging the company. And the opposite is we may have to terminate people to keep the company weathering whatever the situation is. So there are consequences to us not raising our prices. And if we're not raising our prices as fast as, let's just say, like, I hate using the I word, but as fast as inflation is going, then we find ourselves in a tough spot. How did that feel coming in, communicating to raising your rates, and how many people did you lose?
It felt horrible. It felt horrible. I felt like I was betraying people. But the benefit, really, what we did, and I hate to say this, is we lost the low-hanging fruit. We lost the people that didn't value, that weren't our people. They didn't value our services, which is, we don't, as a business owner, not all, and I think especially when you're starting out, you just want business. You just want people in your door. But you also want the right people. You want people that are going to be the right fit for your personality, for your vision, the people that are going to support your vision. And in our case, support other people that are in that place. Right. So it's really important especially in my field where, we're a service-based business, to have the right, not just the right staff, but the right people there engaging in membership at your gym, because those are the people that are going to support other people and lift each other up. And that's really kind of what the foundation of our membership is, right? Is people lifting each other up and breathing life into them and breathing confidence into them. And we didn't lose those people. We didn't lose the people that do that.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the people that were just in it for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
really. And so, or the people that, just didn't want to pay for anything. And I get that, sometimes you just can't afford it. And that's its own, that's its own thing. But for the most part, it really increased the value of our services because it increased the quality of the membership that we had. And I really am thankful for that advice, because it made a big difference, not just in the short term, but in the long term.
Well, it's great advice. And there's someone listening right now that's contemplating raising their price or raising their fees. I'm not going to sit here and blink and say, hey guys, raise your fees. But at the same time, not everyone's destined to be your customer. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is the right customer, mm-hmm. right? And I've talked to my wife in her own business and her eyelash studio. Hey, not everyone's the best client for you. It's okay to say, hey, I'm going to refer you to someone else because you're not the right fit for me. Mm-hmm. And me as a consumer, if someone referred me out because I wasn't the right fit, I kind of respect it. And not everybody thinks that way. So people are like, oh, I don't understand it. But at the end of the day, you made the decision best for the company. And that's when we excel, and we talk about catapulting commissions as the small business owner or founder-led sales teams that I speak with. The first thing I say is, hey, there's you, then there's the company. And I want you to realize the company is the entity. Like it is what we have to protect. Because if the company's not strong, no matter how much you love you or your staff, right? And I look at it even myself. I have a team of 3 assistants. I'm always like, I love my assistants. I want to be able to pay them. I want to ensure I can process payroll. Yep. But if I can't make the company Catapulting Commissions go, I can't do that. So I have to make some difficult decisions. If you just take a layer off of that and say, well, if I can't make the company go, then I can't pay my mortgage. I can't feed my kids.
Everybody suffers.
Everyone hurts. So that's my little spill on make sure that you're looking at your business from that perspective.
Well, yeah. And what, there's 2 things there that my mentor told me. Hopefully I can remember them both. But one was your business exists to serve you, not the other way around. So if you're sacrificing your family, your vehicle, your home, to run a business to serve others, then your priorities, need to be adjusted, because that's not what it's there for, first of all. And I did forget the second thing I was going to say, but I will come back around to that. I'm sure it's going to be,
no worries.
It'll be hanging around there somewhere, but that's what it was. One of the first things my mentor said to me early on also was I had one job, and my job is to protect the queen. And it's still a tough pill to swallow, because it's like you said, you have to make that tough decisions. You have to make the decisions that you, Anthony, as a person doesn't want to make, but correct. Anthony, owner, mm-hmm. you have one job. And so my job is to protect the queen. And that has stayed with me ever since he said that. And whenever I'm faced with a tough decision, it's like, okay, what is the priority? Is it this, $5 hike, or is it let's protect the queen? Yeah. And I have to do that no matter, at all costs, really.
I love it. And here's the thing. Let's just change the words there. If you had to make that decision to protect your kids, would you have thought twice about it?
Never. Yeah.
Same concept, right? Yeah. So I love that. Now, one of the unique things about your experience with CrossFit, and let's talk about this here. There's a component that sales professionals and small business owners, I don't know if there's a direct correlation. Maybe you could speak to this. But people who are high performing in business, I'm not going to say always, but I'm going to say 95% of the time, they're usually fairly healthy in their personal life in some shape, form, meaning fitness, they eat healthy. People have different variations of like what is physically fit. Some want to be the super buff person. Some want to be the lean person. Like, is there a correlation in your experience from the members and people you've trained who are incredibly focused and committed to getting healthy? And how does that spill over to other areas of their life, business, family, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's balance, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I do, like, I think for me also, like when we talk about high performers, that was always a lot of pressure for me to just, to even try to be a high performer, because in my mind, it meant perfection, right? Mm-hmm. But really it's balance. And yes, health, mental health is huge. Like if you're not mentally balanced and you can't handle, the tough decisions that you have to make, if you can't roll with the punches, then yeah, you're going to struggle. And the way everybody needs an outlet. And fitness, exercise is a huge part of that. For any high performer, if you're not, and it gets your day started off, you're thinking straight. And typically if you're working out, you're going to want to support, what you're doing, and you're going to start eating right. Food and brain activity have a direct correlation. Physical activity and brain activity have a direct correlation. So all of it's, kind of, it all comes around together. It's all full circle. And so, if anything in your life is out of balance, it's going to spill over into other areas. So I think, for high performers, balance is huge. And you have to have, your physical activity. You have to work on your diet. You have to make sure that you're having fun, that you're still enjoying life. I mean, you have to have, a little piece of it. Your faith has to be intact. You have to have a relationship with your family. If any of those things start suffering, it's going to spill over into your business.
I agree. I've shared with you, and I'll share with the Catapulting family. There's times where now, if I don't work out, I get it impacts me. Home, moody, cranky, just various different things. But, in my final year in corporate America, before I took Catapulting Commissions as a full-time venture, 150 nights in a Marriott, didn't work out. I got promoted to this role that I was like, oh my goodness, I worked so hard to get this executive level promotion, all the titles, all that fun stuff. And in the 6 years I had that role, which is probably the 6 years that I stopped working out with you, because I did take a break, I think I gained 70 pounds and pre-diabetic. I mean, there was just so many things that impacted me because I had put this desire to make money, or what I thought was the main priority, and I made my health secondary. And you're saying, hey, everything goes hand in hand in balance. How? Let's just say you were talking, let's fast forward. Let's use me as an example. 2 years ago, how does somebody like me, who for the most part in business, I was a fairly high performer, how does somebody like that find that balance?
Well, I mean, we've already talked about coaching. So that's one. Yeah. Getting help if you don't know how to find that balance. But I can just tell you my experience with what I do.
Yeah.
So consistent, and I think a lot of it's about perspective too. I mean, because people, when I talk to a lot of people who are thinking about getting healthy and thinking about getting fit, and it's never made sense to me, because I'm like, it's an hour. It's 24 hours in a day. It's 1 hour. And in some cases you can make it 30 minutes. You can make it 20 minutes. I mean, before I had a gym, I would swim in my pool for 20 minutes. And that's how I started my day, every day. So it's just really just, if you can just commit 20 minutes to physical activity, if you can commit to, if you don't know how to eat well, there's so many different resources out there. We have a phenomenal nutrition program. It's just, I mean, and I hate to say that it's easy, because I know it's not for everybody, but it can be really simple. Food should not be complicated. It's food. It's we're born needing it. So obviously it should not be as complicated as a lot of people think it is. Faith, I journal every morning. I have a journal that I read and write in, and, try to get my mind centered for, how I'm going to approach my day. I value my relationships with people, with my family. I take time with my husband. I make sure I go to sleep the same time every single night. So I'm a very consistent and regimented person. Not saying I'm perfect, but I do have some things that I just would not compromise on, because I know the effects of what would happen if I do compromise. So it's really just, I would say it's more of a practice than anything.
Let's talk about that. It's a practice, is how you're saying it. Someone's listening right now saying, that's cool, Jen, I get it, but I can't go to the gym 5 days, 7 days a week. I can go 1 day a week. Is that a start?
I would say, call me.
Okay.
Or like I said, 20 minutes. Like maybe not go to the gym, do a body workout, home workout. There's apps that you can subscribe to with no equipment, body weight apps, 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week.
So you're saying just do something daily.
Something. Yeah. I mean, that's really that's where it starts. And however you start, I mean, maybe for me, I'm at the gym at 4:30 in the morning. So starting my day with my journal would be a little excessive since I'm already getting up at 3:15. But as soon as I do get home and have breakfast and I have, drop the kids off, that's my quiet time. That's what I do before I start the rest of my day. So yeah, we all have the same amount of hours, and what you do with them is going to determine the rest of your life. And if you're highly successful and making great money, that's fantastic. But if your health is suffering and if your mental health is suffering, it's going to be very short-lived. So if you want a sustainable product that's going to hopefully last a lifetime for you and your family, then you have to prioritize yourself.
Well, that right there speaks volumes to me specifically, right? I think I shared with you, I came, what scared the crap out of me was I thought I was physically fit or physically healthy, went for a physical, and they're like, hey man, you're pre-diabetic. And I was like, what do you mean I'm pre-diabetic, dude? I'm 37 years old. How am I pre-diabetic? Yeah. And, I got on the scale. It was the heaviest it's ever said in my entire life. And I was dealing with stress at an all-time high from a corporate job that really didn't value or appreciate me. And at the time I'd already started building Catapulting commissions. So I think there created some animosity. And it was just like, okay, I have to make a decision, whatever the decision is. I have to find a way to move. I have to find what works best for me. And I tried numerous ways of getting healthy. The only thing that worked best for me was really I hate saying it, but coming back to my coach, which is you. So like when it came time for me to come back to CrossFit, like I had a conversation with my wife. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere else. Like I'm going there because it's home for me. Like I feel comfortable there. I know what I'm getting. I know I get supported. And I know there's a system of accountability that takes place. And Catapulting, I'm not perfect. I do not work out 7 days a week. I probably average 4 to 5, and I eat healthier 5 to 6, sometimes 7 days a week, based off what I've learned from you and your systems. And I'm not perfect, but man, so much has changed in my life.
And I love that you said healthier, because I think a lot of people think they have to go from 0 to 60. And I mean, what journey have you ever taken in your life that is, linear?
None.
Me neither. Yeah. Like people ask me all the time, how long did it take you to get fit? And I'm like, 42 years. Like, really? and I'm still working on it. It's a journey. It's a process. And I also love how you said, I thought I was healthy. And I think a lot of people confuse youth with health.
Ooh.
That's just like the same thing for them. And it's like, yeah, you're young. And so maybe it hasn't caught up yet, but that doesn't mean you're healthy. And typically we don't feel unhealthy until we start getting older. And then we feel the weight of the consequences of the decisions that we've made prior to that. But if you start now, wherever you are, the future is bright. But if you just keep waiting to take care of yourself, then it is inevitable. It will catch up with you.
Yeah, it's not going to go away.
No.
Like you can't think your way to health. Like you can't just lay in bed and be like, oh, I'm going to get there. Like you actually have to take some active step. Yeah. It's I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. So the last year that I worked out with you on a consistent full venture basis was my most successful income year of my life.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was the most successful income year of my life.
You did not share that with me.
I did not. I was the most physically fit, and I was like, oh, awesome, excited. And not long after that, I got promotions and I got all of this, and I made very good money. So it fooled me to thinking, oh, I don't have to focus on my health. Like, oh, it became secondary. And it's funny, right? So I wrote about it in Catapulting. Like this is my most successful year, and I shared the whole story. That's how Catapulting Commissions came to life. Is I shared that story, and the one thing that I never shared, and I added it to the very end in the last chapter, was you have to be able to take care of yourself. But even when I wrote Catapulting Commissions, I felt like I was that chapter, I felt like I lied to myself because I was like, yeah, I know what to do, but I just wasn't doing it. Like, do you ever not want to work out?
Every day. Yeah, no, sleeping in is fantastic. I love sleep.
Do you ever want to eat junk food?
Yeah, yes, of course. I mean, that's the thing. And it's like I said, it's balance. Like, do I eat junk food? Yeah, sometimes. I mean, and I'll say this, there are certain things, certain rules that I've learned to live by, right? Like, when I talk about the journey not being linear, when I was, I don't know, 20, I quit drinking soda. I was putting on a lot of weight. I was young and I was like, okay, I didn't know anything about food or nutrition at the time, but I knew I was drinking a lot of soda and I knew soda wasn't good for you. So I quit drinking soda. That was like the first thing that I did. I was in the Army at that time and I just gave that up. 23, I gave up fast food. I had a friend and it wasn't for health reasons. I had a friend that worked at fast food restaurant and he was like, you should never eat fast food anywhere. It's so disgusting. He started telling me stories and I was like, okay, I will never do that again. Yeah. Don't worry. That made it really easy. And so those were kind of the first two pivotal steps. Then my son was diagnosed with ADD and, actually ADHD, and his teacher and the school wanted me to medicate him and I refused. And so I started looking into alternatives for treating my son with ADHD. And it was, just the obvious, no sugar, stay away from processed foods, red number 40 that's in a lot of candies, was known to be a contributor at the time. And he was 8 years old. He's 24 now. So that point, he was in the 3rd grade. And that was really pivotal. That's when I really started learning about how food affects your mental health. And that was a game changer for me. And so that was kind of the beginning of my journey. Well, actually it even goes back before that, but really the beginning of my conscious journey towards health and fitness and my passion for it. And then it just, slowly kind of grew from there and became what it is now. But yeah, I mean, the connection between, mind and body and, again, balance, you can't not take care of yourself and be a high performer.
Yeah. I think it contradicts itself. Like there's no way you're a high performer if you're not taking care of yourself first.
No. Or if you can be, but it'll be short, very short.
Yeah. It's short. There's some fizzle. I mean, I look at the times where I think I actually ran into you one time when I wasn't working. I was like, oh, my plan's to come visit you. I think I ran into, I don't know if you remember.
Costco or something, right?
Somewhere like that. And I said, hey, yeah, I'm going to come visit you. And I was like, yeah, I wanted to.
And you probably saw the balance in my cart, right? Did you see the blueberry muffins from Costco in my cart?
Yeah.
Or something? I'm just kidding.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Maybe I did.
Yeah. Oh, I just felt like such a schmuck. And here's the kicker, right? So I'm like, okay, it was God's way of like, hey, Anthony, you need to take focus on your health. So I ran into you. A couple weeks later, I'm in the emergency room.
Oh my God.
Because I'm having so much stress and anxiety that I thought my heart was gonna like pop out of my system. I was freaking out and I was like I'm too young to be experiencing. Like, what in the world is going on? But my diet was crap. I wasn't physically working out. My sleep patterns were horrible. I was on the road all the time. I could tell you all the great places to get bad food all around the country because that's how much I was traveling. So I want to pivot and let's talk about this food and mental health. Mm-hmm. Everyone hears it like, oh, I get it. Mental health, right? The country itself, everyone's looking at, there's a focus on mental health, and I agree it's important. But not a lot of people are saying, hey, there's a direct correlation from the food you eat to the mental health impact.
Direct correlation. And it does drive me crazy. Because,
talk to me about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all know sugar, right? Like they've measured, I mean, this has been on like 2020 and all kinds. Yeah. I mean, you can see brain activity when you ingest sugar and what happens to your brain. It literally rewires your brain. It's dopamine, and so it's your food and your choices can essentially contribute to you spiraling downhill or in the opposite direction or stabilizing you. We know how blood sugar affects you physically, but if you look around and you look at people who are typically, I don't want to generalize this, but people who typically are currently suffering from mental illness or depression, I've personally been there. When we are drinking more water, less alcohol, less sugar, more fruits and vegetables, getting all our protein. And when we're taking care of our body and our brain are not this kind of separate entity that work independently of one another. Our brain is part of our body. Our brain is 80% water. So even just dehydration, even if you're slightly dehydrated, and I'm talking about, I forget what the exact, I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's like 10% less water than what your brain is supposed, or than what you're supposed to take, something like that. I don't look it up on your own.
All right.
But it changes it changes the way you move. It changes the way they measured it in athletes. It changes the way they actually perform. Just a slight discrepancy in water. And so imagine what that could do to how you think, how you process information, how you process emergency situations. I mean, it changes everything. So you've got to, you got to start thinking about your brain and your body as one and not two separate entities. You have to take care of your brain, you have to take care of your body, and one does not beget the other. You have to do both.
Okay. So sugar is one source.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to speak for you. Is it ban all sugar, monetize, or control the amount of sugar? Like where's that fine balance at?
Yeah, I mean, I don't typically eat sugar.
Okay.
It's just not something that I would normally do. However,
you're talking about added sugar though, not like a natural sugar, like a strawberry.
Yeah, no. So the difference between added sugars and natural sugars is your body can process natural sugars. Okay. So it can use them for energy. So a natural sugar, a grape, a strawberry, honey, your body will convert that and it'll use it for energy, which is the purpose of sugar. Processed refined foods are sans nutrients. There's nothing in there that can benefit you. And so typically all of the effects of sugar are negative. And I'm being very, very watered down and basic here, but just to make it very easy to understand. Sugar, refined sugar is going to have, obviously some negative effects. That being said, and I've talked about balance earlier. Yeah. If my husband and I go to dinner and, there's cheesecake, I will totally eat a cheesecake, but we don't go to dinner every night and I'm not going to eat cheesecake every night. So balance and moderation are everything. I remember working with one woman on her nutrition and she told me what her diet was. And we talked about eliminating sugar. And this was kind of a real eye-opener for me, but we talked about eliminating sugar, not forever, but just until she reached her goals. And I've never seen a grown person act the way she acted. Just the thought of eliminating sugar, it never dawned on me how addictive it was for people. I mean, it was literally like watching, like me telling an addict that you can't have heroin anymore. Yeah. I mean, that's how strong her attachment was to sugar. So if that is your attachment to sugar and it does affect some people that way, then I would say you should absolutely eliminate it and never touch it again. If you're somebody who can, safely moderate and, enjoy yourself when the opportunity arises, but shut it down, after that, then yeah, moderation will take you a very long way and it won't be detrimental to your diet or your, lifestyle. It's a healthy balance.
I love how you go about it with the balance and the sugar component. Like if anyone's ever done like a sugar detox, right? And I've done a couple in my life where like, I'm just going to go cold turkey on. Yeah, there's like a transition, but I can tell you this. Here's where I know it. I've noticed it now. Yesterday, I was out. I had a client visit out of town, so I stayed the night in a hotel. And I went and grabbed my coffee. Then I was rushing, so I just ordered my coffee without any like special things. And so my coffee came with sugar, cream. Didn't ask any questions. I don't drink cream or sugar in my coffee at home. But I was in a rush. I drank my coffee. It literally, I was messed up the whole morning. Like it just, from the moment it consumed me, focus was off, stomach wasn't feeling good. Called my wife. I'm like, dude, this is like, what in the hell? I got so used to having my system at home controlling the amount of sugar I would put in my body and different things in that capacity. So hearing you say that is makes me feel good, like I'm doing things in the right track. Not always perfect, Catapulting Missions family, and so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I am. Is there other foods that are common that is robbing us or having this same impact, or like I call them like the hidden devils that are in plain sight? They're like, oh, I'm going to do this because it's easy, or I'm going to consume this because it's on the go. And I'm asking you this, like me as the sales professional and even as a small business owner, when I'm on the go, like now I'm like, what's easy isn't good for me, but what's easy is easy. Like, what are some of these common things that we go for, or that are, you would say, hey, avoid this because this is really impacting you in a way we can't, like, you're not completely understanding?
Yeah, it's kind of a loaded question, but it's, in short, granola bars. Like, these big giant corporations are very, very smart. They're not stupid, and they know how to outsmart us. And if you don't know how to read a label, it's super easy to get tricked. And one of the major things to look for in any food is fructose. Fructose is, I call it child abuse.
Okay.
But fructose is like one of those scary things you really want to stay away from. It's only processed in the liver, so it's extremely bad.
What fructose is in what does everything, like
juice?
Do my Doritos have fructose?
No.
Okay.
But juice.
Juice has fructose?
Yeah, juice does.
Even if it saes it's all natural juice?
All natural, yeah. So
Gatorade? I shouldn't say Gatorade.
I don't even know. I haven't seen a Gatorade in many years. I don't know the back of it. Yeah. I'm not familiar.
All right, fair enough. We'll call them some of these sports drinks. This is
I would be careful. Yeah, I would be careful. And the reason I wouldn't even drink a sports drink is because of the dye that's in it, just from my experience with my son that had ADHD. But so it hides in granola bars, yogurt parfaits. Sometimes it can hide in bread. It hides everywhere. And when you see kids that develop like childhood diabetes and that kind of stuff, a lot of that has to do with fructose that's hidden in foods that these kids are, fruit snacks, healthy fruit juice, 100% fruit juice, fruit snacks, that kind of stuff. It's in everything. So you have to be very careful with what you decide to eat yourself and what you give your children.
So now I want to ask this question on that same note, because I love podcasting because I get uninterrupted access to my guests to ask bazillion questions. Fruit snacks that are high fructose, I understand the concept. They're bad. Try to limit them. Try to eliminate them completely from the household. One of my daughters, Isabella, she does competitive taekwondo. You know Isabella. Isabella will take a whole like the whole carton of blueberries and devour the whole thing. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm just sitting here. I'm like, in her argument, she's like, well, it's none of the stuff you said I couldn't eat. And I'm like, I get that. Like, is there, outside of like the overconsumption, but some of these natural sugars that we're eating, do they have that same impact of some of these processed or high fructose sugars? Is kind of where I'm going with this.
No, not so much. Berries in general are just very low in sugar, so she can turn into a blueberry if she wants. She's fine. She'll
listen to this and
and
run with it.
Hey, blueberries are expensive, so maybe you should plant your own blueberry.
I might have to.
But yeah, no. Like I said, because they can be processed for energy. So as long as you're active and moving, and this goes back to again the balance full circle thing. As long as you're moving, you will use those carbs for energy. So carbs are actually very good for us. We need them. So the carbohydrates / sugar, natural sugars that are in fruits, are totally fine as long as you're burning them. So as long as you're staying active, then it's not a problem. Now, if you're super sedentary and you're not doing anything at all and you're a complete couch potato, you're not using any energy. So there's no reason to be eating anything that has carbohydrates in it because you're not using it. So if the extent of your physical activity is, getting out of bed, going to work, sitting in a chair all day, going back home and sitting back in a chair and watching Netflix, then yeah, you could easily not do fruit. In fact, you probably shouldn't because you're not using any energy.
Okay. Do you recommend that let's say someone's uneducated in this space? We've already talked about the impact of coaching, right? So we know that there's an impact of coaching, but let's just say, is there a shortcut or a way, like how do I get my food system correctly? Like I understand the concept of a coach, but some of these big brand companies make some of these packaging at the grocery store look simple, right? Low fat, healthy. I'm like, oh, this is quick. This is easy. like, how do I want to, if I want to get healthy, let me retrace my thoughts. If I want to eat healthy food that I cook at home, how do I get that help?
Yeah. So Greg Glassman, the original co-owner of CrossFit, had a great, I'll have to look it up, but it's, to quote it the right way, but it's stand by.
We will.
But if you just shop the outer aisles of the grocery store, hold on, let me just look this up. Just stand by while I
no worries.
find this.
We Catapulting Fitness family. We'll let Jen pull up this quote here, but I would say this: if you've not heard the premise of the show today, we need help in every shape, form, or capacity. A business mentor, a health mentor, a physical fitness coach mentor, a spiritual mentor. I mean, there's benefit to finding someone who does something better than you or who's done it before that you could learn from. You got that quote?
I do.
All right.
And he broke it down. It's super simple, but it's eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. Keep intake to levels that will support exercise, but not body fat. And it's the easiest thing to do. So for somebody who, you just want to start eating right, what meat do you like? And I don't really, in our family, we don't boil it down to like the leanest meats. Like we'll have ribs or whatever. I don't want to make it super hard. My husband makes dinner. So I don't want to make it hard on him to not make food, and like, I don't want to limit us to just chicken breast and, lean meats. So we just eat meat. We just, whatever it is, we'll have meat. And then for dinner, we'll have vegetables, whether it be a salad, maybe some grilled vegetables, but really that's our dinner. And lunch is very similar. Although I might throw some beans in at lunch if I, like today I had Victor's, love Victor's. And then, banana or whatever in the morning. And so, yeah, it's food. It doesn't come in packages. It's not processed. It's just good old fashioned food.
I don't know. I want to say you told me this a long time ago. It has to have come from you because you've influenced so much in my health journey just over the years. Even when I ignored you, I still heard you. You said, if I can't grow it, if I can't grow it or source it from something like another organism, don't eat it. Yeah. So like Doritos, there's no Doritos tree. There's no Dorito mom that gives birth to a Dorito. And that sticks with me. Like that's my simple way of thinking things. Okay, can I source where this came from? Either plant, dirt, water, like another organism, a mammal, and if I can't, then is this something I really should be eating? Yeah.
And then another rule of thumb, and this I actually learned when I was a personal trainer, is if I do have to eat something out of a package, it can't be like bread, so the first ingredient can't be wheat or whatever. But the other thing is it has to be under 5 grams of sugar. So if I am going to buy something in a package, I'm on like you said, I'm on the go, I'm traveling, I check the sugars. And my 13-year-old daughter she did a challenge with us years ago. It was the no booze, no bread, no sugar challenge. And so, we had to get her drinking problem under control. But after that, the sugar was easy. Yeah. But she learned how to check her sugars. So I remember vividly, we were at neighborhood Walmart and it was Halloween and she wanted those but they were like this, I guess they're called snowballs. Is that what they're called? Snowballs?
I have no clue.
Those little things that they're like little donut things. They're like ho-hos.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Are they called snowballs?
No, but I know what you're talking about picturally. I know what I know. I can see it in the store.
They were these puffy little things, by ho-hos.
Aren't they called puffs?
No, I don't think they're called snow. I'm gonna check that too.
I think they're called puffs.
Okay, so she wanted them, and she was working out at the time, and I said, you can have whatever you want to eat, but just know if you make poor choices, it's gonna take away your workout. And she would look at all these things and she would say, is it going to take away my workout? And I was like, well, if it's over 5 grams of sugar, it will probably take away your workout. It was just a really easy way for me to get her thinking about, her food choices. And she picked up these, what did you call them?
Puffs.
Mm-hmm. She picked up these puffs and she looked at the pack and it was 54 grams of sugar.
Oh, boy.
She shrieked. I mean, we were in line and she was 8 years old and she's 54. I mean, she just could not believe that there were, and she could only have 5. And she, literally has never, ever, she will not eat a donut. She will not eat a puff or a ho-ho, or it's too much sugar for her. And she just does not want to take away the progress that she's making in the gym or in whatever sport she's playing, because it's not just if you're active, or if you're working out, I mean, your kids are playing sports also. So it's affecting them too. Yeah.
I think that goes with just the responsibility we have as parents. I mean, we set that precedent. We set that example. 5 grams of sugar less. That's a really good hack, like good trick, just to be on the streets and looking at packages.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it works.
All right. A few more questions here before we wrap up. One of the things you shared with me, so when I came back to you after I was told I was pre-diabetic and went home and cried and was so frustrated, I was like, I got to go back. I came back to you, and I don't even think I told you I was pre-diabetic at first. I just said I want to get back in shape. But you said something along the lines of, what will kill you is diabetes, not a sore back, not a bum shoulder, no nagging injury, etc.
Yeah.
That has stuck with me so solid. Like I quote that all the time. It's not my line of quote. Catapulting from family it's Jen's line of quote. I don't know if she stole it from somebody, but she told it to me, so that's the source for me. There's somebody listening right now that's like, and I have friends who watch me CrossFit. I post videos and like, dude, what are you doing? You're almost 40. You're going to blow your back out. You're going to hurt yourself. Like, you're going to get hurt in CrossFit. And I'm like, I at this point, I just don't even respond anymore. I'm like, I can't, I'm going to get hurt in CrossFit, but I just saw your breakfast this morning. So that goes to mind. I'm like, that's going to kill you. Like, a sore back. Nah.
We need a whole other episode for this one.
Yeah. Okay. So high level, am I going to get hurt? Like, I know the answer, but like in less than 7 minutes, let's say 7 minutes or less, can we demystify this myth that you're going to get hurt in CrossFit?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe. I mean, we're human. We're not invincible.
Okay.
But define hurt. I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean, I know how many people have like pulled clothes out of their dryer and like been out of work for 3 days because their back was jacked up. I've been there.
Tons of people. Yeah. Happens all the time.
So do they not do laundry? Do you like quit doing laundry because you like reached in the dryer and pulled your back? Where it happens. I mean, unfortunately, our bodies are not these perfect vessels of excellence that can just do whatever they want and nothing bad is ever going to happen. But I will say, like, we were just talking about this as coaches the other day. I said, it blows my mind. And I don't want to bash Globo gyms, but it blows my, like, I cannot imagine having a facility with a bunch of equipment to work out in. And I just open my doors to people and I'm like, $30, come use my stuff. And no one's going to be here to help you or show you anything. Like, I don't understand that. And so, I mean, it blows my mind that people like give CrossFit a bad rap. And there's literally people that are trained to keep you safe and healthy. Like, obviously we've talked about how I've been in business. We haven't been in business for 10 years because we hurt people. I mean, if that would be a really crappy business model, I'd say. So you have this room full of people that are skilled in working around injuries. We're not doctors, so we're not approaching the injuries. And most people that come to us have already been hurt. And most people that come to us are come to us because they're like you. They're either sick or they're hurt or they're headed in that direction. Yeah. And we guide them and show them how to A, either avoid the injury, B, work around it, or C, just get their health back. So can you get hurt doing CrossFit? Yes. Can you get hurt doing laundry? Yup. Can your kid get hurt playing football? Sure. You don't stop putting your kids in sports because they might get hurt. I mean, there's no rationale behind you could get hurt doing CrossFit, or you're like, where's this gear? Where is that idea being? I don't even know where that comes from because I'm 42. I've been doing CrossFit since I was 29. Have I been hurt before doing CrossFit? Yes. Have I been hurt before doing laundry? Yup. The other day, I think I told you I was standing at the car dealership. I was standing and randomly my knee started hurting. And then I got in the car and I jammed my finger on the steering wheel. Can I get hurt doing literally nothing at all? Yep. Is there a guarantee that if I sit in a chair for the rest of my life and stare at everybody else doing CrossFit and say that they're going to get hurt, is there a guarantee that I'm probably going to get sick or hurt doing nothing? You're probably guaranteed to get hurt doing nothing. Just sitting in a chair, when I went from coaching on the floor to sitting behind a desk, I started having back problems. Not because I was coaching on the floor, not because I was doing deadlifts, but because I started sitting in a chair and I would go into the chiropractor. He's like, what did you change? And I'm like, well, I'm sitting in a chair now. And he's like, well, yeah, you're gonna have to move more. I mean, so it's just an asinine ignorant, I would say, statement and idea for people to think like that, because it just makes no sense. And I don't really think there's a basis. And then you'll hear people, I had a friend that got hurt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I love your passion behind it. I kind of knew that. I don't know if it was a loaded question, but I knew you were passionate about it. We need a whole other episode. That's what I'm saying.
But
here's why I asked that, because you highlight a big thing, right? You can get hurt doing anything. The global gyms, I'm not going to mention the social media pages, but there's numerous social media pages you can go on that just show global gym failures over and over. And you're sitting here like, okay, someone paid to be there. Not only did that person pay to be there, there's 28 employees around this gym that are all watching this person do that. And I have found that my experience, I would say this, my experience in the CrossFit community, going through other gyms when I was traveling or doing things, is fairly good. I found good gyms. I found bad gyms. Right. And I won't mention names. But within your gym, there's always a coach there that is trained. Like, it's not just like
1,000%.
It's not someone like, oh, I'm kind of physically fit, or I used to be a collegiate. Like, no, they are trained, a skilled expert in what they are doing to be able to evaluate, demonstrate, and coach. And not only coach, here's the big kicker, everything's scalable. So that makes me feel comfortable, where I'm like, okay, I can't do this movement just yet. But there's a scaled version to do it. That's not going to hurt me, but it's going to push me to grow. And that is a true compliment to what you have at Emersion Fitness and the growth there. It's just everyone's an expert. Again,
they really are. And they go through a lot of training. We have monthly meetings. They go through so much to even get to even have, it's a privilege to be a coach. It's an honor to be a coach. And we take that very seriously. And so, yeah, there is definitely a system in place to mitigate risk, to mitigate injury, to work around injury. I mean, there's 1,000 things that to the naked eye you would never see or know happens, or especially within the training process and the way the classes are structured, but is definitely structured in a way that mitigates risk. And I don't know if you can tell on the athlete end, but even when we divide a class into 3, there is a process, because we can't watch 20 people at a time. We can't watch 15 people. We can watch 5. Mm-hmm. So we divide to make sure that we are giving everybody our individual attention. And there's a couple things. One is, we are not an equipment business, which that is typically what a global gym is, right? They're an equipment business. We're a coaching business, and that's what we do, is coach. And so our coaches are taught to coach extremely well. And coaching isn't just giving people a great workout. It's giving them an optimal workout for where they're at. And that could be, performance-based. This person needs to, be a very high physical performer because they're a student athlete or whatever. Or it could be, this person broke their back 2 years ago, and we need to make sure that we slowly and methodically strengthen their back, but don't put them in a situation where they're going to end up, even more injured. So there's definitely a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and a lot of communication that happens with the coaches to make sure that, we're keeping people safe and we're meeting them where they're at.
I love it. And now that you say it, that does make sense. Dividing groups in 2, dividing groups in 3. Mm-hmm. And it makes you feel safe to know you have a visible eye. Catapulting Missions family, if you're part of my listeners that are in Bakersfield, I highly recommend you go check out Emersion Crossfit. I took my daughter, who's 13 years old. My wife has participated. Like, we have made it a point where you go into the gym and I feel safe. Like, even if I wasn't there with my daughter, I know my daughter would be safe. Mm-hmm. And that's a testament to the coaches and the people that you have there. So I love that. And if you're listening to this episode, you're like, man, this is a great sales podcast. And you talked about, how to get the most out of my body to support my business. I will end with this phrase. We said it a little while ago. The words Jen told me: you will die from diabetes. You're not going to die from a bad back. And since I've started working out with you, do I walk around sore? Yeah. But I have energy to go throughout the whole day. I can move around with my really, really active kids the whole day. My life has changed for the better, and my business has grown, which
is so cliche that it's a lifestyle, but yeah, you can't deny what it is when you start getting healthy again.
100%. So Jen, how does the Catapulting Missions family, how do they get connected with you? How do they learn more about Emersion? Like, what's all the fun stuff if somebody wants to kind of come into your world?
The best place is emersioncrossfit.com.
Okay.
We have a chat widget on there if they have questions. We super responsive. General manager Emily, she's phenomenal. You can get on there and ask questions. You can do a drop in. If you've done CrossFit before, if you've never done CrossFit, jump on the chat widgets, make an appointment. One of our coaches will meet with you. You can follow us on social media. I believe on Instagram it's Emersion CF. Also on Facebook, we're super active on social media. And then those are the two main ways to get in touch with us. It's pretty simple.
Awesome. Well, Catapult Commissions family, you will find a link to the website. You will find a link to the social media links for Emersion CrossFit in the show notes below. Do me a favor, Catapult Commissions family, go ahead and smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. What value did you find in today's episode? And is there a correlation between your physical fitness, your dietary fitness, I guess your diet, and your overall sales performance? I'd love to hear the feedback. Jen, thanks for joining the show. We wish you, and I'm glad you're here. It was my honor. I wish you abundant success in the future. Catapult Commissions family, you know what to do. I love you guys, and I will see you next week.